There's more than one Philadelphia? You can walk between America and Russia? New Zealand was founded by stray cats and fishmongers? Okay, I made that last one up, but I really didn't need to. The world has so much going on in it, you can't help but be surprised. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 startling geography facts that will surprise you. 25. Iceland is growing. Iceland was apparently formed by powerful volcanic forces from under the earth, and because these forces don't exactly take a vacation, the island nation doesn't stay the same size. A fissure, or lava spewing crack, in the mid-Atlantic ridge below Iceland is slowly separating the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates. As this happens, the landmass is being stretched to breaking point, growing at a rate of approximately 5 centimeters annually. Why doesn't it break apart? Well, fresh magma flows up from beneath and plugs the gap. 24. The Pacific Ocean just got smaller. By the time you finish watching this video, the vast Pacific Ocean will be a little less vast. How come? Well, it's those pesky tectonic plates again, shifting around. The largest is the Pacific Plate, which spreads across 39,876,000 square miles. Its edges are cutting down into the planet, with the edges of the other plates resting on top. This reduces space, and our planet can't replace the seafloor fast enough. The ocean mass contracts, making the ocean smaller as time goes on. 23. Australia wasn't always called Australia. Before the land down under got its name, it was referred to as New Holland. The Dutch figured this be a great idea after becoming the first Europeans to lay eyes on it in the 17th century. Englishman Matthew Flinders circumnavigated the continent a couple hundred years later, after which it was known as Terra Australis, later simplified to Australia. I guess we're lucky he didn't call it Flindersland. 22. You can't fly over the Taj Mahal. It's ground level only if you want to view one of the 7 wonders of the world. Not even drones are permitted to capture the structure in all its glory. This is reportedly to help keep the air clean and avoid the effects of pollution. That no-fly zone extends for some 7.4 kilometers, though it doesn't include birds. Or actually insects who are in danger of staining the monument green with their buggy emissions. Though you can fly directly over it on Soarin' around the world at Epcot. 21. There are thousands of islands in the Philippines. Everyone's heard of the Philippine Islands out in Southeast Asia. Well, at least I hope you have. However, did you know that the Philippines contains an astonishing 7,000 islands? And that's actually just an estimate, by the way. Some sources state around 7,100, others close to 8,000. Plus, only a couple of thousand or so islands are populated, throwing up some mysteries as to what's going on with those other few thousand. 20. 840. That's the approximate number of languages spoken in Papua New Guinea. Not bad at all for the world's 3rd largest island country. Located in the southwestern Pacific, its settlers are the Papuans, who landed there around 40,000 years ago. Many of those hundreds of languages belong to the Papuans. 19. New Year in Samoa. Ringing in the new year gets a little confusing in the Polynesian island country of Samoa. Prior to 2011, you'd be right down the list for celebrations due to the time zone. There's a way around that, of course, changing your time zone, which is precisely what happened. Adopting the Australia and New Zealand time zone meant it popped those champagne corks a whole lot earlier. Why did they do this? All for trade reasons. In the process, they lost a day. But you know what? Who cares when there's money to be made? 18. Nepalese time. Did you know that not every country follows an hourly time zone? You can have half-hourly zones, something that's known as an offset zone. And in the case of Nepal, they observe a quarter-hourly zone. 15 minutes? That's gonna cause some confusion, and indeed it does. Being next door to India, it's created a long-running joke where Indians view Nepalese as 15 minutes late for everything, which I guess they pretty much are. 17. Alaskan East and Alaskan West. Some of the craziest geography facts out there involve islands. For example, Semisopoknoi is an Alaskan island found approximately 2,500 kilometers from Anchorage. It starts in the eastern hemisphere and ends in the west. No one lives there, which is just as well because the island is volcanic. The name translates as Island of the Seven Mountains, and each of these is made of hardened lava. 16. Canadians live south of Seattle. Here's a startling fact. Over 60% of Canadians are based south of Seattle. How is that even possible? Actually, the truth is fairly simple. When we look at a map, it's a map. Maps are an easily digestible version of our planet's appearance. They're both accurate and not accurate. We use them to get around effectively, yet they don't totally reflect the landscape that's actually there. Canada is more lopsided than it looks. Apologies to any Canucks who are watching. 15. Oldest mountains. Mountains can be pretty ancient. That much we know. But what is the planet Earth's oldest mountain range? That giddy height is reached by the Maconjwa Mountains at a staggering 3.5 billion years or so. Located in the Barberton Greenstone Belt over 300 kilometers east of Johannesburg, Barberton is a town. Its mountains are colored green from plant life, hence the name Greenstone. 14. There are more people in California than Canada. America's Golden State has a population of around 39 million, which sounds like a lot, and it certainly beats Canada, which has approximately 36 million. Both places have their pros and cons, but when you consider that one is a state and the other is an entire country, then that really puts things into perspective. 13. The other Philadelphia. There was another place called Philadelphia, and believe me, it was very different. Jordan's capital Amman was given the name by King Ptolemy II Philadelphus from Egypt after he seized it in the 3rd century BCE. The Greek king Eumenes II also established a place in Turkey called Philadelphia in the pharaoh's honor around 189 BCE. Eumenes and his brother Attalus II provided the inspiration for that city of brotherly love that we know today. 12. The Daylight Saving Donut. Now that might sound like some weird Disney movie, but it really isn't. Daylight saving ensures that while the sun sets a little too quickly for our liking, we can always adjust the clocks to compensate. Over in Arizona, however, things are startlingly different. There, you don't follow daylight saving, unless you belong to the Navajo people who live in the Northeast. And this makes things complicated for the Hopi people who do follow daylight saving. Because they're surrounded by the Navajo Nation, they're locked inside what's called a daylight saving donut. 11. No Geography Island. Welcome to Pheasant Island, which got its name via France. Located in Europe, it's part of the Andai, a resort in French Basque country. So it's in France, right? Well, some of the time. You see, it's also near the Spanish border, and every few months a geographical swap is performed where Pheasant Island becomes part of Spain. This is because of a peace treaty signed between the two countries in 1659. 10. This sea has no coast. Take a swim in the Sargasso Sea and you'll never reach land. Why not? Because the borders of this water mass are inside the Atlantic Ocean. They don't call it the wide Sargasso Sea for nothing. This is great news for the sargassum, a seaweed which spends its day floating around. What better place to do that than the sea that pretty much doesn't end? 9. Snow in the Sahara. While images of dehydration and sunburn in the Sahara are easy to imagine, there's another side to this enormous stretch of sand. Occasionally, it snows out there. A mountainous area called Ain Sefra, or Yellow Spring, can experience snowy conditions thanks to weather phenomenon known as anticyclones, which carry moisture into the Atlas Mountains. Snow has become a little more frequent in Ain Sefra, though you'd have to go back to the late 70s for dramatic events such as a snowstorm. 8. A really long place name. We call this Thai location Bangkok, but what's its authentic name? Well, one thing I can definitely say is that it contains a startling 163 letters. I'd even fit that on an envelope. This is actually probably a subject for a different video. Anyway, our writer thought we should just present the name on screen for you in all its glory, but that's not how I do things. So, Krungtet Mahanakon Aman Ratanakosin Mahintara Ayutaya Mahadilok Pop Naparat Ratachani Burirom Utom Rachani Wet Mahasanaton Aman Piman Awatan Satit Sakatitawe Watsanikam Prasit. Oh, and just in case you don't know what that means, the City of Angels, the Great City, the Eternal Jewel City, the impregnable city of God Indra, the grand capital of the world, endowed with 9 precious gems, the happy city, abounding in the enormous royal palace that resembles the heavenly abode where reigns the incarnated God, a city given by Indra and built by Vishnu Karma. Or just Bangkok. So. 7. Continents get seriously stressed. The tectonic plates on which we all sit aren't the most stable of things. I mean, would you be jostling against your neighbor, sometimes with volcanic results? In 2016, a fast and furious effect was noticed by scientists. The closer a plate gets to breaking apart, the speedier it becomes. And by speedy, I mean the time a fingernail takes to grow. It may not look full throttle to you, but when it comes to our planet splitting apart, wouldn't you rather be on a slow go? 6. You can walk from America to Russia. And I don't mean walking to the airport in the US, getting on a plane and hitting ground on Russian soil. I am talking about a continuous path. Do you need to walk underwater? No. You see, there's a point between the two long-standing enemies that's a mere 2.5 miles long. Here, the Bering Strait takes you from Alaska to Siberia, and in freezing conditions, the water has been known to freeze over, enabling someone to walk from the island of Little Diomede to its Russian counterpart, Big Diomede. 5. Fantastic French fact. Time zones work in mysterious ways, my friends. Why does France have the most time zones of any country on Earth? Boasting at least 12, it sounds startling. However, things aren't what they seem. The time zone rule applies to French territory as much as the country itself. For instance, French time is observed on islands found in various oceans, so they get to rack up those zones and take the time zone crown. 4. You can squeeze the world into Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas has never sounded more appropriate. There's, theoretically, room for the entire population of Earth, some 8 billion souls in cowboy country. It's sparsely inhabited compared to a lot of places, which is exactly how the Texans like it. In a global catastrophe, however, they'd need to saddle up and make room for the displaced billions. A situation I'm sure would just run as smooth as a single malt whiskey on the rocks. 3. Glasgow, Montana? There are some very remote places in the vast expanse of the US, with the most out there town being Glasgow. It takes over 4 hours to get there by road. Better bring your video games for the kids. And also prepare for the longest game of I Spy you will ever experience in your life. You'll appreciate it once you're away from that smoky air and the wilds of true rural America. 2. 3,901. That's the number of bridges a train will cross when it's traveling over the Trans-Siberian Railway. The icy journey covers 5,772 miles, going from Moscow into the center of the city of Vladivostok near the Chinese border. 1. You could cover the planet Earth in gold. Now this is Bond villain stuff. Should you wish to turn the planet into a giant gold nugget, chances are you could. This is due to where we find the Earth's gold in the first place, namely inside the world's core. A reported 99% of all that glitters can be traced down there. Melt it down and you'd apparently have more than enough for a shiny gold coating. It's been worked out that the resulting layer would be a startling 1.5 foot thick. So, what's the craziest fact from your country? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out our social medias, including my personal ones, links in that description. And you know what? If you liked this list, you will love 25 tricky trivia questions that many people get wrong, so check that out here. And if you, with the Bangkok thing, if I can pronounce, oh no, now I have Bangkok stuck in my head. The town in Wales. I'm doing Bangkok. Sorry. I'm not backing down. You give me a long word, hard word, I got it. Click.